Hey Knights and Squires of Nerdvana, my name is Matthew. I'm new to the Knights of Nerdvana team. Um, I'm going to be doing two series for the site starting next month. One will be a podcast named Fantastique. The other one's going to be a vlog called Taste of Science. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to say hello, introduce myself, and tell you a little bit about the new programs I'm going to be doing for the site. So, first of all, about me. Um, I consider myself to be what I would call an omni nerd. I nerd out about pretty much anything. If I don't already nerd out about it, if you talk to me about it long enough, I'm going to start freaking out about it too, and I'm going to spend hours or weeks or sometimes months uh, going through it online. Um, and so, I welcome anyone who's watching this. If I don't mention something that you're uh, you're a particular fan of, send me a message or something on the site. I'm on the site as Baker Street Holmes, and let me know what you're into. Let me know that you're excited about it, that you want to talk about it. I love hearing nerds nerd out about things, whether I understand them or not. So send me something if you're excited and you want someone to share it with, especially if it's something that you don't have a lot of other people to talk to about. As nerds, we all know what that's like. As far as my current passions, I'm a big fan of all the classic, nerd things: science fiction, fantasy, science and math, comic books, video games. I'm a huge D&D slash role playing game player. Um, but I also nerd out about things that aren't quite as common. I do a lot of crafting type stuff, everything from sculpting to bookbinding to learning to draw is one of the big projects I'm doing now. Obviously, as you'll see when I tell you guys a little bit more about A Taste of Science, I'm huge on cooking and really love the science behind food. I nerd out about the Olympics, just all sorts of things, which I think is just fun to really dive into a subject and see how far you can get into some of these things and all the cool things you find out when you do it. Um, as far as the two series that I'm going to be doing, the first one I said was going to be a podcast called Fantastique. Fantastique is a French term from the Middle Ages referring to a category of literature which melds fantasy with a number of other traits from other genres. So sometimes it would include, for example, elements of horror or elements of uh, not not just the supernatural, but of classic legends, or it would include aspects from this thing or that thing, and really the kind of things that I'm interested in looking at and to talking to you guys about for Fantastique are the kinds of things that you don't think of as typical fantasy. I'm probably not going to talk to you guys about the Lord of the Rings because the idea, elves, dwarves, magic, those kinds of things are classic fantasy, what would be considered high fantasy. And everyone knows those tropes, knows the ideas behind those settings. I want to look at the things where there's, only humans and there's not so much magic. For example, the world of Westeros from the Game of Thrones series, or a setting where it's a modern day setting but with elements of the mythological or elements of the magical involved. So shows like Grimm or Supernatural would be big examples of that. Um, Personally, one of my biggest interests in the area of fantasy is in magicology, which is sort of the anthropological study of magic in society. It looks at things like Haitian voodoo or the magic of druids in Celtic culture. It looks at a lot of the kinds of magic around the world that various groups do or did believe in, and what they believed happened, how they believed it worked, what their magic was made to emulate. or what we emulated in our modern literature, our modern shows. And I just find it very interesting to look at the different interpretations that people have had on how magic works. That's sort of where my interest in fantasy originally started, and it's only grown as I've read more of it or I've watched more of it, and sort of as I'm exploring these different settings for fantasy in general, that's going to be one of the things that I personally am going to be the most fascinated with is, what does magic do? That's not going to be the focus of Fantastique. Fantastique is going to be about the whole world, that a particular work is set in, but just sort of as another piece about my background and what makes me tick as a nerd, is sort of that magical background. The other one that I told you I was going to be doing was A Taste of Science, which is a vlog. I'm a huge proponent of education. I love getting students excited. One of my recent jobs was as a math instructor at a math learning center. I love working with kids and teaching them math, science, anything really. And one of the things that I've always thought was disappointing was students in college who are required to take, one science class in order to graduate, and they take, chemistry 101 or biology 101, and they don't care. It's not interesting to them. They don't see why they need to learn it. I've always felt that universities should offer courses which are actually things people are going to need in the real world, or things that they can at least make use of in the real world. If you're at a university in order to study psychology, taking a class in European history is probably not going to help you on your average everyday life. You might randomly throw out a fact you remember, once every 5 years, but is that really a good use of your one history class? So in the course of A Taste of Science, we're going to look at everything from biochemistry to thermodynamics, and we're going to study some properties of the way that chemistry, biology, physics work in the context of working in a kitchen, as you can see, I'm actually in my kitchen right now. I just finished making some things for one of the early episodes, which I'll be filming in the next couple days. It's actually finishing up in the refrigerator right now. But this is going to be kind of an opportunity to go into the why do things happen in cooking, and how do things that we see happen when we make food happen. How does cooking actually work on a science level? I find it really interesting. I hope you guys like it. And I'm really looking forward to making some of these videos. Anyways, that's me in a nutshell. I hope you guys are at least a little interested in seeing these coming up. To give you guys just sort of an idea, the vlog, A Taste of Science, is going to be every 2 weeks, starting, I believe, the first week in December, and then the podcast, Fantastique, will be at the end of each month. Like I said, I'm looking forward to these. I hope you guys are excited, and I will be seeing you guys again soon.